Here you go. Your worship.
All right, thank you.
Oh, I'll let one more in, hang on.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so if I have that nasally sound, I apologize. Don't be afraid, it's just a cold. It'll be okay. Just want to mention that we had a great weekend at the AYC, had a couple of great sessions, made some connections, had some discussions. It was great. And while we were there, our Councillor Hanchar was elected as first vice president of the AYC Association. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy for you. It's very exciting.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I know you're going to do a great job. Looking forward to having you on there. So first on the agenda is to adopt the agenda, please, as amended.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson, Councillor. Can I have a motion to adopt the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting of May 3rd, 2022?
Make a motion to adopt those minutes.
Thank you, Councillor.
Second. Oh,
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Thank you, Councillor Burtis. Any questions, comments,
no, I don't have any, oh, I do have a comment. I just thought they were excellent.
minutes?
Yeah, they were just like very thorough. Appreciate that.
Our new clerk
Done.
here. Ms.
Yeah.
Lund is-
They're very nice.
Mrs. Lund is doing a great job.
Mhm.
Any other comments or questions?
No.
No, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $148,013.74.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $148,013.74.
And I will second.
Councillor Hampshire and Councillor Slager, any questions?
Just one. On our RSPs, I know it's the RSP matching that we do with our employees and whatnot. But I don't need to know how much is going to who, but I'm just curious, how many people make up that 18,000?
I honestly don't know that number off the top of my head, but that number is deceptive because under the collective agreement, they're only allowed to put in a certain percentage.
4,500 unless they're management.
Yes, but some of them are going above that and it's coming out of payroll deduction. So hence the reason that the dollar amount is very high.
Gotcha.
And for the next meeting, I'll be able to tell you how many there is. And I should know, I looked at it today, but it just was another number I looked at, but
Gotcha. All right.
I go on 60404.
that's RSPs for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and also 60428. How much? I just don't know what it is.
That was. Trying to remember off the top of my head, I did. It is. I know they bought coffee and stuff and supplies for the rec center was some of it, and some of it was, I believe, dog food.
Okay.
For the pound.
Okay, that includes the visa purchases on that. So is there any questions regarding that? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. All right, next, we have a public hearing, so I will need a motion to move into the public hearing.
I'll make,
for
oh,
the Bergeron's conditional use application, lot 13, plan 21366 here in Westlake.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Thank you, Councillor.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Burtis.
Your worship, I can tell you for the record, there was no written submissions.
Thank you, CAO Lockwood. Mr. Steve Bergeron, you're up. You have to unmute yourself.
Might be able to unmute him.
Sorry.
Oh,
Hello,
okay.
everyone. How's everyone doing?
Great, thank
Good.
you.
Good. Yeah, so yeah, what we're planning to do is building 2 5-plexes, and I was just hoping to see if we can get that changed for the zoning, and just, we know there is a need for it in the town. So, and we're just planning to start next summer is what we're hoping to start. And I know you guys reached out to everyone in the area to see if anyone has any questions or concerns, and I don't think anyone's mentioned anything. I was just going to see what the next step is, or if you guys have any questions or whatnot.
Sure. What exactly is the conditional use that you're looking for?
I believe like it just needs to be rezoned, we'll get to a multi-residential so we can do the 2 5-plexes.
Okay.
So it's, we're planning on building them and we'll for sale, but obviously there's a need for the rental market in town as well. So they'd be for sale, but we would definitely fill them up with rentals as well until, they were sold. And we're planning on doing it in 2 stages. We'd probably do 1 5-plex, first and see how that goes. Cause I just don't want to build 10 units and can't rent it or can't sell them. And, it is a big investment, but I know there is a need for it in town as well.
Absolutely. We're definitely excited about this for the town of Watson Lake, and I'm going to just ask council if they have any questions regarding this conditional use application.
I don't really have any questions. I think it's an awesome project and looking forward to seeing it progress.
Steve, did the plan change at any one point in time? The only reason I asked
Pardon me?
is in the letter, it says that we'll be able to build 6 to 9 units on a lot of this size, but originally was it like 2 4-plexes?
Yeah, originally, like just looking at the setbacks and stuff and the size of the units, I'm kind of basing it off of a 4-plex that I'm doing in Whitehorse right now. And then looking at the length of that lot, just to kind of even everything out, we could probably, it looks like we could fit 2 5-plexes. I'm pretty sure, I thought Shannon drew that on the final sketch that she did, but I'm not 100%, but we're hoping to fit 10 units, 2 5-plexes. It's kind of seemed like that's what would work with the size of the buildings that we got.
Gotcha. So units that close to the downtown core, if we can densify that area, it'd be way better than what we have right now going on.
Yeah,
So-
no, I think it'd be a really good project, and just kind of sharpen it up and just something a little different, and I think it'd be good. So
Okay.
Steve, how big are the units gonna be?
they're 2 stories, all 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and they're approximately 1,850 square feet. So and they all have a garage as well. So the garages are about 300 square feet. So the units basically are 22 wide by the 48 deep. And then the garage would be facing, like the plan that I got that we submitted, like it's like in Whitehorse, it's just flipped around. So, but the garage side is on the back, but here we're just going to flip it around, and then the garage will be where you drive in on the Lakeview side.
Steve, is there gonna be room for like lawns and stuff like that there? Is there
Yeah.
space?
Yeah, there definitely is, like, so that where we're looking at where we drew it out to subdivide that section of the lot for the 30 meters, it actually gives quite a bit of room in the back. And then we were going to fence it as well. So then, so once, this goes through and then I get the surveying done, they can have everything pinned properly for all those units. And then a guy will have a better idea exactly what's left in the lot size, right? Like for each parcel, but there'll definitely be a backyard.
Access, you said is gonna be off Lakeview, hey?
Pardon me?
Access, you said is gonna be off Lakeview?
Yes, the driveway access, that's correct.
I like it.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Bergeron. That's great. We're very excited about the potential to have some more residential units within our community. There is a very high demand, and we're looking forward to this project commencing.
Additional use application.
You got to close the public hearing.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
Sorry, we still have to do ask for gallery.
Oh, sorry. Just excited.
So with that, I'm gonna just ask the gallery if there's any comments or questions they'd like to,
Oh, we have two galleries.
address with this development.
Just excited to see something in a empty spot.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank
Awesome. I'm glad that everyone seems happy about it. That's good first step for sure.
Steve, I'm just gonna roll through the attendees on Zoom real quick.
You only have, your worship, you have Patty.
Patty is on there and Patty, do you have any questions regarding this?
No, no questions. Good luck to you.
Okay, great. Okay, and so with that, I will ask for a motion to close the open hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Hanchar and Councillor Slager. Next, I would ask if the council would have a motion to accept the conditional use for the Bergeron's project at lot 13, plan 21366.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Slager. Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Any more questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Thank you very much, Mr. Bergeron. We're very excited for your future endeavors.
Awesome. Thank you guys very much. You guys all have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay, take care, everyone. Okay, bye.
Okay, very exciting. All right, so Steve, you got to mute. Okay, so next we have the Yukon Government Lands Branch and the Public Lands Act. We have
Shirley Dawson and Michael Draper.
welcome. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Shirley. The floor is
Hi.
yours.
Okay, I'll start out. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for making some time for us on your agenda to provide you with a very quick snapshot of the Yukon Public Lands Act that we're doing. As mentioned in my correspondence with the town of Watson Lake, my name is Shirley Dawson. I am the consultation and an engagement advisor with Government of Yukon. My Indian name is Tagazu, which is baby ptarmigan. I'm a member and citizen of the Kwanandun First Nation. And I've been asked to help assist Mike Draper with the public engagement and consultation with First Nations for the next, it's been going on for the past 60 days. And so we're just going to, Mike is going to actually do a verbal presentation. He is going to walk through the discussion paper, which I did send to Tiffany, I believe. Is that correct? Was there Tiffany or someone I was corresponding with, the admin person? And he's going to share a little bit about the history, sort of the timelines, how we got to the discussion paper, and a little bit of the history. And yeah, so I don't know, Mike, if you want to say anything about yourself, but I think I'll just hand the floor right over to you, unless there's any questions on what to expect tonight.
Nope, I think that's great, Shirley. Thank you.
Okay, Yep. Thank you. Well, Shirley said, my name's Mike Draper. I'm a legislation advisor and negotiator with Energy Mines and Resources. We've been asked about a year and a half, 2 years ago, to start work on a new Public Lands Act on the management of surface tenure on all public lands in the Yukon. I don't know if you're aware, but right now we have two pieces of legislation and associated regs that go with that. We have the Lands Act, which primarily administers EMR lands within communities or as lands that were transferred from Canada to YG previous to devolution in 2003. And the second Lands Act we have is the Territorial Lands Yukon Act, which was previously federal legislation. It was transferred over to
government of Yukon with devolution in 2003. So needless to say, it's been a bit cumbersome managing two pieces of legislation on the administration of surface tenure in the territory since 03. And also too, that these two acts have not seen any substantial upgrade or change since 1985. So it's needless to say, it's long overdue. We've been, the first sort of order of business with the development of a new act was creating a successor resource legislative working group, which was through the devolution transfer agreement. And you've probably heard this term before from the mining initiative that's working on right now and creating new legislation. They have their own successor resource working group that's ongoing right now for the courts, for a new courts and placer act. We managed to get about a 1.5 year head start. So we've sort of worked through some of the major policy issues and now are at a point where we're out for public consultation. So the work we did with the successor group was basically took on our sort of initial policy issues that came from the department, worked with the First Nations, the 14 YFNs, and basically boiled that down into a policy sheet that helped us develop the discussion paper, which we have out right now for consultation, First Nation consultation and public engagement. So what we're looking is basically feedback from the public at large, where they can go to Engage Yukon website, our web address, and fill out the questionnaire from the discussion paper. Or if it's a group of organizations such, or a government such as yourself, you can email or send a letter directly to me, and that will be incorporated in our What We Heard report once we're done our consultation on the 30th. And that information will also be used towards drafting a new act and regulations. So what we're looking to do is have the What We Heard out later, sometime mid to late summer. And then after that, we'll be going back to the successor group, working on drafting instructions, which is basically the marching orders for our lawyers to draft a new act and regs. And then hopefully by next spring, we'll go to cabinet to get the authority to actually draft an act, and then move into drafting legislation in 2023. And then hopefully by the spring of 2024, we'll be in a position to table a new Lands Act in the legislation, in the ledge, with the regs going to cabinet as well. So that's our timeline at this point. So before I get sort of into the sort of elements of what we're looking at, is there any questions so far?
One question,
Okay.
Councillor Slater.
Just off the top of your head, if you were trying to explain this to someone passing by on the street, what do you foresee as the biggest change or the need to have a new act? What's the big the Coles Notes heard, like what's the biggest thing that needed to be changed or is going to be changed?
Well, modernize our legislation into one piece of legislation. Our administrative tools are severely outdated.
So like what specifically needed to change?
Our means of ability to sell land, our means and ability to lease land, and our means and ability to issue land use authorizations that respond to the needs of Yukoners as far as land use and land needs. So,
and this will streamline that process, you believe?
That's what we're hoping. I mean, there's a lot of aspects of our legislation that are just outdated. I mean, the coal regs and dredging regs, which mining has been administering, is still under our legislation. Our leasing tools only allow us for a maximum of 30 years with a renewal of 30 years. We're looking at complementing First Nations leasing practices on their settlement land by seriously looking at residential and commercial lots under a 99-year lease model. While we want to streamline the selling of land, we're also thinking that there's opportunities out there for industry and businesses, as well as people wanting residents that could get into a lease arrangement rather than title. And that's one option we're looking at. Our backcountry management has been mainly focusing on industrial, commercial activities, mining, oil and gas. And we've recognized that there's other industries out there, sustainable energy, but also what I would refer to as non-industrial commercial activities, such as wilderness tourism, supporting recreational activities, sort of a wider range of commercial activities that we just don't look at. One of the things we've already gotten feedback from the agriculture industry is responding to the changing interest of the ag industry up here in the Yukon. Traditionally, ag has been, root plants and growing hay. And we've had a situation where we're getting the growing, chickens, pork, beef, and other, sort of organic type industries that we're looking to have the necessary tenure to help them support that. Our land use permitting system is rather archaic in the sense it only responds to industrial and activities where the triggers are such things as fuel storage, heavy equipment use. And there's several land uses that we've noticed over the years that we need to start taking into consideration that should be under some sort of authorization. One common example I use is TV commercials. Right now, they do not trigger a land use permit. And another example is riprap. People are doing shore remediation right now by hand in areas like Marsh Lake, and that does not trigger a land use permit. So there's an opportunity here to sort of open more extensive backcountry management by providing a wider range of tools, but also streamlining the providing of land in communities. And one thing I haven't mentioned is looking to see how we can get public land, raw public land, in the hands of corporations and other governments and nonprofit organizations such as housing co-ops, and have them start looking at developing land in Whitehorse and the communities. For years we've heard that YG is so slow in getting lands out the door, and some corporations have suggested that they could do a faster or better job. So while there's no decision that this is going to happen right away, it's just providing those tools in the toolbox.
Right.
Thank you. That was a great answer.
Was that basically your breakdown of what your report is going to be, or is there more that you'd like to tell us about?
Well, one other aspect is there's two other smaller points, is the areas of conservation. And if you look at the discussion paper, it's environmental and heritage protection. There's a lot of, over the years, land administrators come across sort of situations where a certain wetland gets identified during the land application review process, or an area of significance, historical or cultural significance, gets identified, but quite often it doesn't warrant a creation of a heritage site or a creation of a habitat protection area. It's sort of that middle ground. It would be great if we could sort of provide some tools to protect it, but not necessarily get into a rather extensive planning process. So one of the things we're looking at is there a way we can look at providing some low-level protection just to flag sort of specific nodal areas for some sort of protection, so that in the future it just helps direct land applications or land use applications in the right direction. So, but yeah, other than that, enforcement. Our enforcement tools, I don't think I have to go into this too much. I imagine everybody there reads the newspaper and hears about our constant ongoing fight with unauthorized occupants and how long it takes. It's basically because we have a very antiquated system that every time we do an inspection or every time we do an enforcement action, if we move ahead with it, we got to go to the court. Well, I think we need to expand our officers in monitoring and compliance tools. as well as the ability to respond quickly to an unauthorized occupant when it's when it's been identified. And I mean, we're thinking that if we can have better tools at the front end, because we hear often of people saying, well, they come in to get recreational land, but they can't get it. So then they go some back doorway to try to get, recreational land, whether it's to build themselves a 10 by 12 on public land and wait for government to show up, or use their friend's trapping cabin for the weekend, or some other, other backdoor way. If we can provide the tenure policies upfront and also provide good enforcement tools at the back end, then I think we could just provide a better management structure, in and around the communities as well as Whitehorse.
That's, there's I'm sure it's a huge undertaking. One aspect I don't think was mentioned was the SAB and the review process, like there's always a lot of red tape, and I imagine just from what you're telling us there that hopefully that'll strengthen and maybe even shorten some of those processes, because as you've described, it's very difficult, and it's hopefully will be streamlined. There's lots of people looking to use land within the community that have struggled to get that accomplished. So
yeah, and we're hoping that there's a sort of all this interconnectedness. The YESA relies on good planning, and then land management relies on good plans to provide direction. And if we have direction, then it saves us going through all these onerous screening processes. Like one of the things we're thinking of is rural res has been through the spot land application process, and one of the things we're sort of kicking the tires on is if we're going to move ahead with rural res, which is still a demand for, do it through a planned lot initiative rather than a spot application. And again, it would streamline the process by having the planning done right up front, full public consultation, First Nation consultation, and then have it backed up with zoning. So, consolidate, 10 or 20 lots into one exercise rather than entertaining, a multitude of spot applications all along the highway. So we're just looking at, and the base point too, and this is one point, I know a lot of people don't think it's a big deal, but our YESA, First Nation final agreements, all the tools that have been put in place since the mid-80s, planning is not recognized in our existing legislation. I mean, we utilize them, but it'd give us a lot more support if legislatively, if our legislation even recognized all the changes that have happened in the last 35 years,
Yeah. Well, let's, I think CEO Lockwood has a question.
No, I don't, Your Honor. I did, Your Worship. Your Honor, Your Worship. I just wanted to say, I'm having flashbacks. Your Worship, I just wanted to say that Michael's contact information and the links to the Engage Yukon are all in all the council's email inboxes, and that you guys can log in and provide feedback if you wish in there.
Yeah, well, that's great.
My question was just about the timeline on that, because this email indicates that the engagement process ends on April 30th or beyond that now. So
Yeah, that we did an extension to the public engagement. We started off just at the tail end of the Omicron lockdown, and we didn't take into consideration that it would take a while for people to sort of get geared up. So we extended it to the end of May just to sort of provide people that elbow room, and that's so yeah, you definitely, if you want, I've said to all, governments and organizations and First Nations, if you want your comments to be sort of reflected in what we heard, May 30th, if you can get something to me, that'd be great. However, this is an ongoing conversation, and, right now we're dealing with very broad, wide policy issues. And as we move forward, we're going to start melting those down into the drafting instructions. So, during your day-to-day work, if something comes up that you think, gee whiz, that'd be something we'd like to pass along to me, feel free to email me or give me a call or set up a Zoom, because this is an ongoing process. So what we want to do is make sure we have a piece of legislation that we can use for the next, 10 or 20 years. So
At least, yeah, sounds like a long process. So yeah, hopefully that will all pan out, and we wish you best of luck. And definitely if there's some feedback, you'll be hearing from us very soon. But with that, I would just like to say thank you very much, Michael and Shirley. We do have one more delegation and a bit more business to get through. So I appreciate everything that you've informed us of today, and hopefully we'll be in contact soon.
great.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your time.
Have a
Okay.
good evening.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Okay, I'm sure there's some things that we can add into that discussion, some of the difficulties that we've been dealing with. And next on the line, we have Mr. Jordan Stackhouse, who we missed this weekend.
Yeah, sorry guys. House came down with COVID. We've been dealing with that for the last 3 weeks. We're all totally fine. Monica and I are triple vaxxed, and Goldie ended up getting it. My daughter, she's doing okay, except for it's her birthday in 2 days, and kind of just hanging out with mom and dad for her birthday. So that's a little bit sad, but is what it is, I guess. Eh?
Yeah.
I didn't realize they had birthdays on their 3. You could change it to next week. She can't read a calendar anyway.
But I did hear it went like pretty good, and like our part there was the engagement at the end there. So I heard it went okay, and probably be connecting back with you guys at some point, like just on that work. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Especially you, Councillor Hanchar. You'll definitely be working on that stuff. Yeah. Guys.
Sorry, Jordan. That was the final session of our weekend there, and it was very engaging. I thought that it was, I think there was lots of feedback on those topics, and it's interesting to hear what other people's points and ideas might be on those things. So no, I thought it was great.
Good. Yeah, it's time to get some action, I think, on those, and kind of a sidebar here, but I think it'll be good work for AYC too, and should bear fruit for the municipalities. That's the idea. So just see what happens there, I guess. Yeah.
So then let's dive into our business at hand.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm here tonight to talk about the council strategic plan, the draft. Did you guys get a copy of that in your package?
We did.
You did. Okay, great. Oh shoot. I mean. I'm just kidding. So Cam and I have been kind of working away at this over the last number of weeks. As you guys know, I was there in April, I think, just like quickly a turn and burn kind of to just do our prioritization. It wasn't meant that way. I was like looking forward to a nice night in Watson Lake, but it didn't happen. And that's reflected, I guess, here in the draft. Like, I don't know how you'd like me to go through this, just kind of like the key points, or I don't know if we need to go through the whole document. I can kind of just tell you like where it's at. Like, you guys are obviously a part of this discussion. So maybe I'll do that, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about how we're going to finish up this process. So as you know, this is like based on your guys' OCP. Something that came through in here, I was like thinking of an elegant way to put this, but it's kind of like 10 pounds of crap in a 3-pound bag. There's a lot of stuff in here. We're essentially like taking an OCP, which has a 10-year planning horizon for your guys' strategic initiatives, and figuring out like if we can honestly start a lot of this stuff, like at least during your term, like maybe not finish it, but at least start it. So what we did there is like we looked at the OCP. We talked about that, and we kind of determined action, right? So what are like the first steps we would take to kind of move these things forward? And that's more or less what's reflected in the strategic plan. So I'm not looking at it, I'm looking at you guys, but there's like the 5 different categories there that kind of just codify all the the areas of interest or the strategic priorities into the different areas. We list a number of actions under there, again, to get these processes initiated. What is new since last time would be like, you'll see in there's a few of those actions that have top priority. And those would be what we landed on, just in terms of the things that you guys like just really, really want to see happen first. So it was so nice to see that gentleman before talking about a private investment in Watson Lake, and like Cam's got easy job for this year because if that happens, right, that's huge, right? Oh my God. So like we're already working towards those goals. And I mean, I feel it was so nice to hear that. I didn't know that was going to happen. So really pleased that like people are privately investing and they're finding land to build on, and you guys are accommodating. That's exactly like what you guys did tonight with that simple rezoning was just perfect, right? Like no fuss. Yes, we want this. Like, okay, the rule doesn't quite work. Let's change it, right? Like, because it's no big deal. So that's awesome. So like, well done, guys. And so Cam and I still have a little bit of work to do on this. So one thing I wasn't too happy with how it turned out was I did leave space in there for kind of identifying like just budgets, like on some things, you know, for example, like getting like, I just use like implementing the source water assessment plan. Like maybe Cam would know he might need like some engineering expertise on that or just something like that. So I think what we want to do is just like plug in a few like provisional numbers for council to just take a look at. So when this will come back to you guys, you have it now, it's essentially complete. We want to plug in some draft numbers and it'll come back to you guys for acceptance essentially. At like maybe the next council meeting, Cam and I can plug in those numbers. And I didn't know I would have had that done by now, but I didn't know it was going to kind of turn out like that until I actually did it. I just got it done like a few days ago with like COVID and everything, so I apologize. And then just one thing I missed in there was one of the top priorities was renewing the signage, and that's just not reflected in there right now. But other than that, it's kind of all there. Like our intent was just to make it easy to read. Someone could pick it up and be like, yeah. I kind of understand where council is going with this stuff, like how they're actioning or moving these items forward. And something else that I provided was I just went through that whole list of actions. Some are really easy, like write a letter. You guys don't need my advice on that. But some of the ones I just kind of went through and said like, yeah, I do like a policy or a bylaw here. And this is why, and I kind of provided that all to you just in the appendix in the back there. So maybe there's about like 10 or 15 that I kind of went through and said, this would probably be like a good policy response here, a good bylaw response here would be like this. So I think that it gives you like an additional, just additional like insight into how that plan's going to roll out. One thing I haven't talked to Cam about is just like, we haven't had a conversation about like, and I don't know if Cam does, like we haven't talked about it yet, just about like his operations and like feasibility and stuff like that. We have our top priorities. We know we can work on those, but you know, we haven't kind of looked at the totality of the plan and if like, you know, like the staff can do it or, right. You know, just I think maybe I would just ask Cam if he wants to have that conversation as well. But, you know, kind of just optional. Obviously, he knows the capacity of his staff the best and, you know, what's in there is in there and he'll be able to do what he can. So that's basically it, guys. I hope you like it. It's really reflective of your OCP and I was worried about it kind of like being the same, but I think it gets to that level of granularity that other than it says like, oh yeah, we need to like get more land. It says like, okay, like we need to actually like, you know, get that meeting with the First Nation. We actually need to contact YG and get them down here, right? Like, so it kind of lays out those steps to get this process initiated. So with that, I'll kind of just like open up the floor to questions. That's kind of my review of the plan and maybe there's specific questions about what's in there and just happy to answer that.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Slager.
Just real quick, where did the quote, goal without a plan is just a wish come from?
That was a gentleman, maybe I should put his name back in, but I Googled strategic planning quotes and I just found that one and I just thought that was really very a good fit for Watson Lake. But if I don't like it, if you guys don't like it, I'll take it out.
I think it's good.
No, just cite your sources, that's all. Plagiarism.
Yeah, I should cite my sources. I did have his name in there, but I took it out. Yeah.
Councillor Hunter? Nothing?
I unfortunately wasn't able to open the document.
Okay.
Before now. My battery died, sorry. Computer was not working.
I have no question.
Okay, well, I would just like to say that this is a great guideline for us to start working on. And as much as you've been a part of this whole process, like you were saying, I think it'll take us sitting down as a council with Cam and really kind of sourcing out exactly what we can proceed with and what the guidelines really are, or like what the procedures are really going to be like. But I think without looking at it too much detail, I apologize as well. But I think that the next little while we'll be able to determine exactly how we're going to play this out. And, you know, if we do require one more sit down so we can kind of divulge into a couple of specifics that, you know, and we know where you're always available and we can definitely find you to.
Yeah, for sure, guys. And I'd love to support you, and Cam and I talk often. And I imagine even, you know, when I'm not on the clock, we'll still talk.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just like, I think this, like, ultimately this gets you towards your strategic goals, right? And that's the important thing. And I think what's difficult sometimes when we do these processes is people like, they want like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, like from start to finish, right? And the fact of the matter is, like, we probably know the first step, maybe the first two, but we really don't know a lot after that. And I think, like, let's get things started, and I'd rather come back to it and say, okay, do we need to adjust, rather than trying to plan for everything up front. And if everything doesn't kind of go to our plan, like, we're lost, right? So
I don't know. Sorry, Jeremy. I don't know where in the world you can have a plan for 3 years and stick to it, A, B, C, D. If that happened in the world, that'd be amazing, but we know that's not going to be the case. So like I said, it's a great guideline, and I think that we should be able to maneuver through the next 3 years with this in mind. And definitely, I think the OCP was a great part of this, because that is exactly what you said at the very beginning. It's what the community wants. And, you know, we just have to work on a couple key pieces, which would be work with the Liard First Nation and making sure that, you know, it's all going to jive going forward. It's not just a 3-year plan that we want to, I always preach it that I want to set things in motion for the next 10 years, not just the next 3. So I like to lay them in deep, entrench them into what we're trying to accomplish so that they don't get changed the next 3 years, right?
Yeah, and it's not a space shuttle, you know, like, you know, space shuttle tourist center or like whatever, right? So I hope it's grounded in reality, you know, and it seems like, okay, well, this is pretty simple, like write a letter, right? But I mean, it's just like, it's the difference between doing it and not, right? And there it is for you guys. And you know, Cam and I will continue to talk about how you guys operationalize that, and I'll provide whatever advice I can. And you know, you just have to start doing it, right? And kind of see where things land. And I hope I get to work with you guys in the future as you continue like down this journey, and like, you know, we can revise and make sure it like makes sense for the community and you guys, and you're getting the results that you want, right? And I'm just like tickled. And like, you know, with the gentleman before, sorry, like Mr. Bergeron, like, it's not, he didn't just wake up and be like, okay, I'm gonna do it today, right? Like, he's lived there for a while. It's been the progress that you guys have made. It's been, you know, like the leadership that you've shown that is giving him the comfort to be able to invest that kind of money, right, in a community with no guarantees. So kudos to you guys. Well done.
Well, thank you, because you've been a big part of that process. You know, you've definitely helped us to establish that confidence from all the way from the admin to council. So you've been a part of that. So I'm not going to pump up your tires too much because you're running a business.
But I have COVID.
Stop at that, but
And we're paying them by the hour.
and we're still paying you right now. So, you know, but we do appreciate what you've done, and we're going to leave it at that, and we're going to let council digest this, and I'm sure.
Yeah, totally, guys. Yeah, take your time with it. There's no surprises, and reach out to me directly if that's like kosher with everyone that's on council. I'm happy to talk to you guys if you need me to kind of like walk you through anything. You guys have my number, and thank you very much. I'll let you get on with your business.
Thank you, Mr. Stackhouse. Thank you.
Okay. Take care,
Look
guys.
forward to talking to you in the future.
He was gone.
All right. Yeah. So that was our used to be community advisor and now doing a lot of work with Elevator Yukon, which is his own business that does policy, and he did our plan for us. He did one in our last term that was, I feel, a very big part of our success, and making sure that we were strategically moving forward instead of guessing day by day what should be happening. I think this document is actually, well, from what I glanced at and what we've discussed, I think council can stand behind it confidently. There's a lot of things that we move on from, and I think, we talked about a lot of topics, and then without even communicating what our priorities might be, they landed on what the Yukon's priorities are. We didn't discuss them. We just had our lists. He said, pick what your priorities are. We happened to pick what we liked, and it happened to be right in line with what a lot of the Yukon's doing. So I think it's pretty good.
And this document will be public when we accept it.
You adopted.
And then we discuss it at the town hall meeting that we are planning as well.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Yep. All right. So we'll move on.
Refresh my memory, when we were thinking town hall meeting after that?
That's a good question.
Guess we'll get.
Can we get back to that?
Sure.
Get to the council open forum? Councilor Schrager?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so number 7 is the heating fuel contract. We had one submission. I don't have the contract in front of me. I'm sorry.
I have it here,
See,
Your
do
Worship.
you want to read it out for us, please?
So the invitation, the tender was for contract calls for the supply and delivery of one average price for the supply of summer and winter heating fuel from May 1st, 2022 till April 30th, 2023 for the following minimum locations: rental shop, Northern Lights Center, town administration building, and 12 staff residents, along with other locations which may be added throughout the year. Tenders must indicate if GST is extra or included, and must state if the price is subject to market fluctuations. Any tender submitted without this information, information must be, it will be deemed that the quote includes GST. Supply must be regular scheduled basis, and during extreme weather conditions, extra deliveries may be required. The lowest tender will not necessarily be accepted, and the town reserves the right to accept the tender being most favorable to the town. So that is what the tender called for, Your Worship. And there was, as you said, there was one submission, and that was from North 60 Petro. And it reads, thank you for your opportunity to quote the town of Watson Lake fuel requirements for the 2022-2023 season. We're pleased to offer you the following prices on the supply of heating fuel for the municipality. Furnace oil, average price, and this is dated April 28th, was $1.70, 1.7972 plus carbon tax plus GST. Arctic stove oil, 1.7972 plus carbon tax plus GST. Rates do not include carbon tax at 0.1341 cents per liter or GST at 5%. Prices are subject to change with fluctuations in the market for refined petroleum products. 15 days notice will be given prior to any price adjustment. Please see attached daily terminal unbranded rack sheet dated April 28th. Future price adjustments will be determined by using the marker for ULSD at Edmonton Rack Terminal. If you have any questions, please contact the manager at North 60. So the prices do fluctuate, and we've seen that through the winter up until the spring, and it's noticeable at the pumps in the community as well. Right?
I can only imagine. So with that,
I'll make a motion to award the heating fuel contract to North 60 Petro.
thank you, Councillor Henry. Thank you, Councillor Burtis. Any more questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. All right, number 8. Again, I apologize. CAO Lockwood, I don't have the pickup truck tender in front of me.
So, Your Worship, the tender was put out, and with the closing date, and at the closing date, there was no submissions, and it was advertised actually nationally and to every local dealership. An addendum was issued and was put out again. It closed last Thursday at 4 p.m. and we received one submission. So The submission, the admin report states recommendation approve the over budget proposal submitted by White Horse Motors for 2 pickup trucks preferred. Number 2 recommendation is approve the proposal submitted by White Horse Motors for the 1 pickup truck with an option to purchase a second truck later in the year if prices change. Or 3, not approve either proposal. Financial implications. Recommendation 1 will cost $133,022.38. The 2022 capital budget has $120,000 approved for 2 fleet vehicles in the 22 fiscal year. The price of vehicles has increased substantially since the last purchases were made in the 2021 fiscal year and budgeted for this year. Although the proposal provided is over budget, administration recommends proceeding with the proposal as the price increases may impede our ability to purchase fleet vehicles in the future years if the price trends continue. It falls under council's strategic planning for community development government's financial plan. Administration made a recommendation to council to replace 2 fleet trucks a year for 3 years to save the town's O&M expenses, repairs, and for the health and safety purposes. The approved 2022 capital budget included the purchase of 2 fleet vehicles. Attachments are the tender document, White Horse Motors proposal, a copy of the capital budget, a copy of the addendum, and a request for information. Since the last tender that you guys approved back in January, the purchases, the prices of each truck has gone up $10,000, so 16% increase.
It always seems to be going up anyway though, right? Like, I like the hope of saving enough if you did to the 1 is probably very slim.
Where are we getting the extra $13,000?
We would cash manage it on other purchases in capital budget. Some of the stuff that we've already purchased has come in under budget, so we'll be able to cash manage it, I believe, for the $13,000.
Thank you.
My line of thinking on this is to get the 1 truck. Because with the snow that we had and all the extra money, like where our snow removal budget's gonna take quite the hit. And if we're, that's way over. And if we're spending more money than we have in our capital budget, that's not fiscally responsible. We got 2 new trucks last year. I mean, I'd love to get 2 new trucks every year, but like, fact of the matter is, that's why I think I'd be on board for 1, not 2 though. My thoughts.
Councilor Paquette.
How in dire need are we to get 2 trucks?
We're replacing a very dated fleet with some of the vehicles that are left there back in the late 90s, early 2000 that are beyond their life expectancy.
Because the whole idea is to get the entire fleet under warranty. That's the ultimate goal, right?
And yes, your worship, and I also can say that we do have extra income from the sale of the fleet vehicles that we sold last year, along with the other stuff we did on our liquidation, which is, I believe in the, and Tiffany can correct me, but I believe it's in the $34,000 worth of income that we have there that wasn't marked, earmarked to go anywhere. So that would offset this. As to Councillor Slager's comments about overage on snow removal, yes, we did take a severe hit in the tune of about $83,000. But I believe we can cash manage that based on vacancies and staffing and other expenses that were budgeted for in the O&M budget that we haven't had staffed at this moment. That would cover it off, will cover off those expenses.
So then we could get the 2 trucks, that's what you're saying?
Well, that's the option on the table that administration would like to see, because I hate to come back next year, and if we don't purchase both this year and we come back next year and have to purchase 3 trucks.
And they're
then the
80 or 90,000
Yes, that
or
is
something
correct.
crazy.
Well, inflation isn't gonna stop anytime soon. They're saying at least 2-3 years before things level out, so I hear what you're saying. If you're confident that we can, that I didn't know, I'd forgotten about that stash of cash from the sale of the other fleet vehicles.
And your worship, we will be selling off some of the old fleet from this year too, which will help offset. It'll be minuscule, but it'll be maybe
something.
a few $1,000. It'll all help, right?
Okay, Councilor Burtis, did you have any comments?
No, I already did mine.
Okay,
In that case, I change my mind.
so there was 3 recommendations, so if I could have a motion to support the pickup truck tender.
I'll make the motion to support the pickup tender.
Which one?
Recommendation 1, sorry.
I'll second that.
So can you,
I can read it for you.
yeah, can you
Worship.
reread it? Recommendation?
Recommendation number 1, approve the over budget proposal submitted by Whitehorse Motors for 2 pickup trucks.
Okay, so motion on the table from Councilor Burtis, seconded by Councilor Hanchar. Any more questions or comments? All in favor? Carried. Okey-dokey. Well, Cam, you've been speaking to us, so if you would like to continue speaking, that would be great.
Thank you. So there's a couple topics I want to talk to you about tonight. First, I believe at your last meeting, which I was on leave when it occurred, there was dates spoken about for the opening ceremonies for the new services building.
Correct.
I just want to bring something to the table that happened last week that I think will impact and I think should potentially delay the grand opening, the official grand opening, even though we are working under the building, is the fact that we met with Yukon government, our consultants, and the general contractor last week. And there was numerous deficiencies that were addressed that haven't been dealt with. And the general contractor was given to the 30th of June to complete them all. So my fear is that if we go ahead with the opening on June 4th, I'm going to have either contractors in the building or the yard tore up when they're doing the underground infrastructure, and we may not be able to run water because they might have the sewer lines dug up. So I from the administration side, I would like to delay, unfortunately, into the summertime. And the other side of it is I'm working towards interviewing for fire chief next week. And I would like possibly have that person on staff and be able to have the fire department actually cleaned up and looking like I don't have it right now, because right now I have stuff on pallets that I haven't put away at the moment. And I just, between my schedule, I don't have time to dedicate to get over there right at the moment. So we're getting close, but it's really hard right now for me to dedicate to running another department. So that's just for discussions later. We can discuss that.
Sure.
The other thing I want to discuss is an update on the projects that we have Colliers working on. So which is the rec center change rooms, rec center energy upgrades, and the public waste drop off area. So I'll start with the public waste drop off area. So the public waste drop off area was put out for tender and we received no submissions and it closed. So we extended it and we spoke to 2 local contractors. We were told that we were going to receive submissions closed. We received no submissions. So I reached out to one of the contractors after closing and got various reasons for not getting it, but we did receive it today. And it's an unofficial submission, but it is over double what we budgeted for. So I've got a call going back to Colliers and we're going to sit down and discuss it. But unfortunately, your worship, for the amount that was in the submission, I'm going to there will be a recommendation coming back to council that we shelve the project and readdress it next spring. Because budgetary wise, there's no way I would be willing to have the project complete.
Can you remind us where the funding is coming for that project? Is it gas tax or is
That
it?
was small committee funded gas tax.
Okay.
And the budget was healthy and I think it was a very good budget for that project.
Mhm.
Our consultants had done lots of digging and research to make sure it was right, and using Morrison Hirschfield, who specialize in that work and have just completed public waste drop-off areas at other facilities. I believe that, yeah, the price that was submitted is beyond where I'd be willing to do a recommendation for the municipality.
Yep.
So,
Sure.
so yeah, it's too bad because we could really benefit from having that.
Yeah.
But it's not fair to the municipality and our taxpayers to have to put out that kind of money to do it. So, so that's that project. The other project is the rec center change rooms. Last week, we received 5 minutes notice saying that contractor was in town to start doing the demolition of the showers in the change rooms. And of course, we had the judge and jury trial on, and we had the alternate shower location occupied with the jury's sequester room. So we were a little panicked. And anyways, I had Glenn meet with the contractor, and I said, before they touch anything, I want confirmation that they're here to work from start to finish. And well, couldn't give us that. So needless to say, they did their homework and we sent them tootling away. And we've received notice now that they will be in 2 weeks to start the project and take it to completion.
Okay.
So, because they have to be done, that project has a deadline at the end of June. So, yeah. And they said they were comfortable doing it. So we'll see where that goes. The lighting project, I think I might have mentioned in the past, but we give an extension on that due to injury or illness to the contractor. Mr. Sunby had to go for back surgery, so that delayed a start. And not only that, he didn't have all the lighting equipment in stock yet. So I can say that his back surgery was very successful and he's up and moving around, and they're looking towards being back here at the beginning, the first week of June, and hopefully be rolling on that project. The other side of that project, as you may remember, in the 2022 capital budget, was the part of the energy savings was the upgrades to the ice making plant.
Right.
So I received last week, as of the 12th, I finally received their updated finalized quote from them. And it came in on budget at well the same price as what they quoted us last year. So that, for the way things are going in the world right now, I was dumbfounded.
Okay.
So I was hoping to be able to do an admin report to actually portray it, but as you may remember, Simcoe is the only company that does work on our plant. So unfortunately, it is like a sole source type of contract.
Yeah.
Or purchase. And the thing that caught my attention and really has got me scrambling at the moment, hence the reason I'm bringing it forward tonight, is that there's a 17-week delivery for the equipment, and we want it installed for ice going in for October 1st.
Okay.
So if I don't ask you to approve a motion to approve the purchase of the equipment tonight, we won't have the equipment installed for the ice to go in this year, and that will delay the install of this equipment to next spring, summer.
Okay.
Which then we do run the risk of significantly different pricing. And like I said, it did come in on budget. It is the quote for the energy upgrades and computer automation to the ice making plants is $54,800.
So we can take care of that business as soon as you're done your
Yes.
CA work.
Yeah, but I just wanted to bring you forward on that. So that ties in with the Colliers projects. Your Honor, I can say, oh, man.
She's in the room.
Well.
I know, but she was. That's why it's confusing.
No, I think it's just having flashbacks to my previous career. The other thing that's on the table was on the list of things that council was looking for an update on was the staffing of parks and recreation positions. I can tell you, we have had applicants for lifeguards. We have not had any applications for pool manager. We've reached out to the person that did apply, and phone calls, text messages, emails have all been sent to that person for almost 2 weeks and no response. So as far as I'm concerned,
Sounds like a no.
it's a no. So, but we have had letters of offer. We did, interviews were completed last week. Shannon and Alyssa completed interviews for the other summer positions. And Tiffany has prepared letters of offer for all the positions that we interviewed for. I think everybody that we interviewed actually had a position. Tiffany, correct me or not?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes, all.
Yeah. So, which is nice. That includes Northern Lights, everything other than the pool.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So, and while we were at AYC, I did meet with Roger Bowers from RPay about the pool.
Right.
Not the fact that, about training the pool staff. Because their pool's training schedule is,
Right now.
yeah, well, and it's terrible. It was, the operations was this week and then in the middle of the week. I said, that how does that work for community? If we had somebody that was young that wanted to do it, you know, we need parents to be able to pull them out of school and support them. Then we got to have, depends on their age. So he agreed that he agreed to reach out to me yesterday, and he did. And they've agreed to, if we can find a pool manager, we would actually run the pool operations training here. And the other thing that we would run would be a 40-hour Bronze Cross and Red Cross certification for doing lessons, but we need a pool manager. Without a pool
He's
manager.
willing to do that.
Yes, he's willing to do that. That we would cost share it, and that would be bringing the instructor to Watson Lake and training our people in-house. So, which I think would be a cost saving, because if we were sending 6 or 7 kids to Whitehorse and then chaperone and expenses, it's way better to bring one instructor down here. So I was glad that they were willing to do that, and they still will. It's just a matter that we still need to recruit a pool manager, Janice.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I talked to Vanessa about this. She was your pool manager for a couple of years. She suggested, why not hire a manager who was not a lifeguard?
Yeah, and we've tried that. And that's why I said, Janice, do you want a job for the summer? So anyway, so that's the point where we're thinking at now. We're actively soliciting adults in the community to manage the pool, and they don't have to be lifeguards. They just need to supervise. They need to be able to take water samples, ship them away, and to make sure that the schedule's there for the lifeguards.
Do they have to be present? What's the?
They have to be present during the hours that we actually have the pool open. It's because it depends on the age of the lifeguards. If we have junior lifeguards, then that responsible adult must be in attendance. But if we have regular lifeguards, then we don't need that person there.
Okay, it's all based on age?
It's based on age and training.
How much per hour is that?
Unfortunately, well, for the pool manager,
Yeah.
I think it is 23 something an hour, and that's set by the collective agreement.
Okay.
Okay. So anyways, so that's where we are. I haven't given up on the pool yet.
Yep.
We're thinking outside the box.
Nope,
We're going up and down the streets trying to find a name.
Just for a future conversation, just because I know that you just said that it's that wage is based on the collective agreement. I just think that maybe at some point we should I don't even know what this process looks like, but look at maybe increasing that wage, because it seems to me that that's a lot of responsibility and a lot of whatever for $23 an hour. You do get the exact same wage to go work at the Northern Light Center.
As a supervisor, yes. So,
But I'm just saying,
yeah, your worship, and that was,
to potentially have to provide like life-saving, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's
so I guess that comes back to,
outdated.
Go ahead.
that comes back to my next thing on the list.
Sorry.
Was wages for summer staff. I know that was brought forward by council. We are bound by a collective agreement. And if I went to put the supervisor's pay up, then that pay would be higher than the janitor, and then I have to put the janitor's wage up because it's based on a scale set by the union contract negotiations. So it's that double-edged sword of where those positions fit into the grid. And it's taken a long time to get there, and I'm not saying unfortunately, but the new Yukon minimum wage has really played a toll on that bottom step on the scale. So by trying to move those up in the scale, then just be prepared that the union's going to come back and try to move everything up one step to offset that difference.
For sure, and I totally understand that, and I just think unless it's something that's sometimes going to be harder and harder to recruit and retain any staff if the wages aren't looked at from time to time.
Yeah, I totally get that, your worship.
Competitive, sorry, thank you, that's what I'm looking for.
But we are, as you know, going into negotiations on our collective agreement this fall, because our collective agreement expires December 31st. So those are things that when I meet with the mayor and council to get my instructions for contract negotiations, those are things that we will discuss and put on the list.
Were we successful in getting any summer youth grant money from the government?
Yes, we were. I think we received 4, Tiffany?
I think
5?
Oh, that's excellent.
Yes.
It's above average.
Yes, it is. Last year we got 2. So 5 it's ridiculous. It's a miracle. And by that, we were actually, and one of the extra positions that we got this year was actually for the landfill. As you know, it's plastic bag tornado season out there. So we just advertised another position out there to help clean up. So yeah, so those are the things that were brought forward. I see from or checked from the last meeting minutes, and then that flows into the rec center roof. So this is, unfortunately, I didn't get you a briefing note. This is stuff I've just been dealing with, right? So I did provide council with a copy of the quote that came in from Superior Roofing to fix the roof. This is I hate to use the word Band-Aid fix, but it is a Band-Aid fix for 10 years.
It's better than $10 million.
Yes, and that's,
expensive.
hence the reason I've got 2 quotes for $10 million, but that was including the insulation package for the roof. So it was a bigger thing. We can't really compare them as apples to apples, but Superior Roofing is the major commercial certified insured roofing company in the territory. They provided, they did this building, they did the new municipal services building. They did provide the quote for the Northern Lights Center building, but they got fully booked up and didn't bid it. But the estimate they provided us for the Northern Lights Center building was right within $1,000 of what the bid did come in for doing the roof. So I trust the estimates that they're giving us. I spoke to them today. It's another thing I'm going to put on your plate for tonight because of the fact that if we don't book within the next week, we won't be seeing a roof repair till late fall, if this year. So he's told me that if it's approved, and I'll let him know tomorrow, he can be here within 3 to 5 weeks to have that roof done, which it falls under in the purchasing policy, because I know the question was going to be asked. So we can put out, there's an exception to the formal tender process for bona fide emergency situations in which the purpose of this policy includes a situation that may jeopardize town property and or assets and property. So that is, in my mind, that is us trying to stop any further damage to that building by having the roof fixed. So the quote came in from him at $288,000 plus GST. GST is reimbursed to us, so that's a moot point. So the quote is at $288,000, and I am chasing federal funding, but trying to get it approved is becoming a real nightmare. But this is gas tax funded. So we do have, I believe, approximately $9 million in the gas tax at this moment.
And how long is it expected that this Band-Aid?
10 years.
Okay,
So
and how much, remind us again, are we at for replacement of the roof at this point?
10 million.
Right, okay.
So, and to go with this, I've been in contact with YG Infrastructure, and after speaking with council, and they're working on a scoping project. Due to the fact of the age of our rec center, they're working on a scoping policy or scoping document looking towards the eventual replacement of the rec center if federal funding comes available.
See, I never understood the $10 million thing. Well, I do, like, the Jim place all the insurance, but, or the not insurance. Installation, yes, the other I word. Because here's the thing, like, we own the vehicle that costs us pretty much nothing other than pumping fluid through, so I understand that it's to replace the insulation is the majority of the cost there. However, we own the means to heat the place that we get for basically free. So it's like, if it, like, it's not costing us anything, like, I don't want to say it like this, and like, who cares about heat loss because your heat's free anyway.
Well, your worship.
But it might not always be that way.
And that's that's a topic that of another briefing note that you will be getting, is the fact that last Tuesday I did have a meeting with ATCO and our consultants, and there's a report coming to council, but things on that front are changing and our costs are going higher. So that's another topic. But the other issue with pumping lots of heat in there, that's part of our problem as well, is the fact that the insulation is so poor in there that we're putting heat into a ceiling that's got no insulation value. Condensation forms and then the moisture comes down. So it's the roof is leaking, but it's also a condensation issue. So there's a couple factors playing into that.
Gotcha, okay.
Okay. But I do believe it is a 10-year thing with a warranty. So that's
good.
My question would be around the funding.
Yes.
I don't know for sure, but I believe that many of the funding pots are not retroactive on any project.
That's correct.
So we don't want to begin this project if we can't make sure that those funds are secured.
So your worship, that's why I'm leaning towards gas tax on this, because the federal pot that's available right now, we won't get approval from once.
I think it's necessary, and honestly, it's embarrassing to have all the buckets catching all the drips when people are renting spaces in our facilities.
Might just wreck the wall and some, might just wreck stuff.
The next thing is going to be mold, your worship.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so what was the total for that?
288,000, and the breakdown of that, your worship, is roof A, which is the visitor center roof area, 57,000. The roof over the kitchen side on the hall, community hall, 79,000. And then the big roof, which is the bowling alley area, which is probably our worst roof at the moment, $152,000. So a grand total of 288,000.
Okay. I was just going to, when you're done your report,
Yep.
I'll put forward two motions. So 9A and 9B, I'll call them. The first one will be a motion to approve the Simcoe upgrade due to for $54,800 as presented by CA Lockwood, and then 9B will be rec center roof repairs for $288,000. The Simcoe is upgrade approval of the capital budget. And the rec center roof is going to be gas tax. I guess we will wait for Councillor Slager. Patiently.
Motion?
Yeah,
Or do you want me to continue with my?
yeah, finish your report. See how luck with, that'd be great. And then we'll wait for.
So, your worship, I'm proud to announce that after you guys swearing in Connie Heaney as the bylaw officer
Yep.
at your last meeting, Connie officially started as full-time bylaw this week. And we have a consultant in doing training with Connie. And so far this week, she has 5 dogs in custody and has been dealing with some of the maintenance issues in some of the properties. And she's being totally schooled on note taking, file layout and documentation, how to write warning tickets, and then how to proceed to actual violation tickets, how to prepare a court package, and how to document. And the feedback, this is day 2, the feedback from the instructor says that he is beyond happy with Connie's status. He says that she's got natural customer service poise. He witnessed her dealing with a disgruntled dog owner.
Yeah.
And the way she handled it was perfect. In the end, he went from being amped up and everything. And in the end, he surrendered his dog and shook her hand and thanked her. So it's amazing. So and her observation, he said her power of observation is phenomenal. She drives down the road and he's watching to see, as he's picking out violations,
Yep.
to see what she notices as they go. And so I sat down with him and I came up with some properties I know that there's issues. And so we're throwing at her different training from different angles. So she's dealing with maintenance bylaw, dogs, and tomorrow she'll be dealing with something under the zoning bylaw. So she's taking the different aspects. The other part of him being down here, I've had him do a review of our kennel, our procedures, and he's made recommendations even on forms, and he's given us new forms, and he's working with Tiffany to establish them up in our data bank. And the other thing we've actually set up is in the server, there's actually now a bylaw drive, and everything that Connie does is in there, and there's a file ledger and a diary date system. So I can go in, because she reports to me, I can go in every few weeks and review what she has on the go and look at her investigations. So this way, if we do get down to something that has to go to court, it's there. And it is a professional package that our lawyers can take to court and deal with it properly. So that was huge. The other thing, and I'm not sure if it was recognized last meeting, but Terry's last day of work was April 28th. So she'd been 28 and a half years with the town of Watson Lake. And so I'm gonna hold a staff barbecue. She's agreed to come to a staff barbecue. She won't go to a community barbecue for the community to recognize her. So we're gonna hold a staff barbecue and she's willing to come to that. And Tiffany's been working on retirement gifts to be presented, and Mayor and Council will of course be at that barbecue, and we'll go forward with that. But she's away right now for medical issues, so she's officially on the payroll till May 31st, and then she'll be retired. So I just think it would be nice to formally recognize her for all the work she's done.
Do you have a date picked out for that?
Sorry?
Do you have a date picked out for that?
No, I think Tiffany and I'll get that sorted out tomorrow, but it will be that last week of May.
Since she's on payroll, can we force her to come to a council meeting so we can?
And we don't have a council meeting before that.
At 28 years, I know that I shouldn't have to worry about this, but like,
The gift is,
okay, that's what I was saying, like, I'm not like, here's a watch, here's a box of chocolates, thanks, here's a card. Like, I do like something good.
you know, we can talk off, you
Okay.
know, offer.
I'll even pitch in.
So yeah, so that's gone on. I also received I actually received 3 applications for the fire chief's job.
Wow.
And unfortunately, one of them was received after closing, so that one won't be in the interview.
Was it good?
process. The two that we will be we will be interviewing are very good qualifications. I actually sat down with Charlie today and reviewed them, and he was rather impressed with their training. So yeah, so Tiffany's also working on setting up those interviews hopefully for next week. And with looking forward to actually having somebody boots on the ground over there to.
I'm assuming they're out of town, like people from.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, so that flows into the next part.
Oh, okay.
Yes, one applicant lives in Manitoba and the other one is in Ontario. So that flows back into the document, the admin report that'll be coming back to you for the June meeting, which is the status of the CAO house. But both those applications were received based on that we would have housing that they could rent.
Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully they both agree to interviews and we can select a suitable candidate for that and move forward. So, exciting. So, and as you know, Brandy Keene has started in replacement of Connie upstairs. So far, I'm impressed. I met with the rest of my management side there, and she's reaching out, looking for more work already. She's really catching on. Yeah, Keene is right.
Nice one, Dale.
So anyways, yeah, no, it's nice. We're really moving ahead on those type of things. So I think that's enough yammering for me. And sure, there's lots. Like I said, I was away for a couple of weeks, but we're slowly getting there. Oh, and another thing, just because I know the rumor mill in town and the way things go, the road going to Bergeron's underground stream has come up on that side and has took the road to mush. And then going the other way, heading towards Jameson's that way. Same thing, water's come up in the middle of the road, actually.
Out at the airport, you mean?
Yeah, out at the lake. And needless to say, it trapped our garbage truck today. Dan went to go around the hummocks and he pulled over and it just went loose. There was water bubbling up around the front of the truck.
Oh,
So we got them removed, and I must credit Glenn. He used out of the box thinking, and we put down rig mats. You know, the wood mats. Go on, and we've got them on both roads, so that way it'll give it time to dry out. Our staff was out there trenching to try and get the water to flow away, but it's gonna be weeks before it dries out. But the rig mats are there, and the local residents can access their houses, and it's nice to see out of the box thinking to resolve a problem that could have really delayed us.
That you didn't have to come up with.
That I didn't even have to.
It's always,
That's nice, isn't it? So, yeah, so I just thought I'd mention that because I'm sure people ask about that. Northern Lights Center will be opening this week. And I do have a good thing on that front as well. Our old computers were shipped down to Spitz and they were able to get them working again for us, and they've shipped them up. And that doesn't, in my mind, that doesn't hold back from us still applying for that funding to replace the system, to have a state-of-the-art projection system in there. But I think it goes a long ways to getting us through to that stage. And your worship, you know, you and I both met with the minister and discussed emphasized the need for us getting that new equipment, because that is a drawing card to our community to have that dome theater. And
working as it was intended.
And he understands our side.
Okay.
So I think the deputy minister is supposed to reach out to me to discuss that. So I think we're heading down the right path, but the delivery time frame on a new system, once we do get the funding approved, is a long time, as you know, but this way we'll get our old computers back in, get it working for the summer. And then for next tourist season, we should be in the driver's seat if we get the approval like the indications are.
No, that's great.
That's my report.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, CA Lockwood. From now on, we won't let you take a week off and then those reports will be shorter.
Yeah.
I appreciate all the work you're doing. You're doing a fantastic job. And can't thank you enough, honestly. As you can see, the amount of work going into that position is immense. And it's always dangerous when we go to other events when there's other people that need CAOs, because I know that.
There was a job offer.
Yeah. Glad that's on the record.
I thought.
That have declined.
Oh, did it?
Anyways. Okay.
There was a farm for sale there.
All your fruits of labor will go to the garbage. Okay, anyways, we have two pretty big pieces of business to go with CAO Lockwood's report, and that is due to emergency. So I'll call it 9A, and I'll put a motion to, well, I can't say it, but we need a motion for the Simcoe.
I'll make a motion to approve the Simcoe upgrades for the ice plant. The amount of $54,000.
I'll second it.
54,800.
$54,800.
Thank you, Councillor Hunter.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councillor Paquette. Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
And 9B,
I will make the motion to do the rec center route of $288,000 to replace and fix out of our gas tanks.
I'll second that.
thank you, Councillor Burtis, and thank you, Councillor Hunter. Okay, that's great. Thank you, everybody. Much needed structure grades. Okay, I did have a couple questions, but I believe that the Councillor from Forum.
It's right here.
Next, we have, maybe I'll get our clerk Tiff Lund to read out a letter of support that we have written for.
Your worship, there's number 10, which is.
Hours of operation.
Oh, my apologies. I'm sorry. I got scribbles all over here. Number 10. You want me to read this?
Well, I can't.
Read that for me. Thank you.
Your worship, this came up when I was away at the last meeting, but
Yeah.
Report from Recreation Manager states that she understands that there were several questions regarding the proposed summer operation at the rec center. She hopes these details will answer your questions. With council's recommended hours of operation, I've decided to post the seasonal receptionist position to cover the front desk until mid-October. This is one of the funded positions that we received. While our full-time receptionist is at the Northern Light Center. There's enough money in the budget plus using the step funding received that will cover us having actual receptionists there during the, so there will be a front desk coverage at the rec center. It will be spread. The hours of the rec center for the manager will be 8 to 5. The janitor, which is nine hours of their operation hours would be 9 to 6 p.m. and the term receptionist would be from 11 to 8. So the rec center would be open 8 to 8.
So that's not reflected in the
No, this is
sheet that we got.
6, go to the appendix A.
Appendix A, yeah, you guys are on the original one.
Yeah, you're on the original one.
Sorry.
Sorry. So it should be 8 to 8. And the reasonings are there are some questions for the needed staff in the buildings mornings. We do have somebody in the rec center. We do need someone in the rec center when it's open to the public. Several of the regular gym users come in during the day, morning and during the daytime. Also have a large number of facility rentals that require assistance with setup and help with other technicalities. The summer adventure program also operates at the rec center during the day and which will start in June. Rec center also accommodates many tourists during the summer and wants to ensure that we can do so. Visitors frequently use the showers, sauna, the bowling alley. They also get coffee at the bistro and drop into the visitor information center. The visitor information center is open 8 to 8, 7 days a week. Laura's Bistro is open 8 to 8, Tuesday to Friday, and 11 to 4 on Saturdays. The new proposed hours would accommodate operation needs of both user groups. And then the results, the next paragraph, there was also concerns expressed about gym access. Most of the gym usage is currently happening before 5 p.m. now. Now that's nice out and appointments are no longer required. Last year, gym pass holders were able to access the gym through the visitor information center until 8 p.m. when we weren't open. And they still will be, this is an option for this year as well. We can still do that.
Yeah.
So 8 to 8 and it's not going to cost us anymore because of the fact that we're using a term position. We are very busy. We are now mostly a convention center rental space. We're a multi-purpose facility. Recreation plays such a minor part in that. But also now with the change rooms being renovated and stuff, we do need somebody to direct people to a dressing room, showers, and provide keys and do that kind of stuff. I think from my side as the administrator, I do believe that it's a good proposal going forward.
Are we closed on Sundays?
Yes.
Not Monday, just Sundays or Tuesdays? Okay.
And the other side of this is I'm working a couple other things. We're trying to work that the gym will be accessible through an exterior door. So that's something I'm working on. That won't happen for this summer season, but it's something for next spring.
Right.
And the other thing that we're working on is I got a quote this morning on the rekeying project from last year's 2021 capital budget.
Yeah, okay.
And the money's still there. So we've been fighting to get locksmiths to actually bid on that project. And I finally did. It's somebody out of Fort St. John, and it was right in budget what we set. So if that happens, then that will help us streamline our operations as well. So
Like rekeying the whole building,
every door in the town municipality that we own.
and then you could like open up half the bricks or whatever's being used,
Yeah,
so that
because
there's
right now-
not have anybody just wandering around. Yeah, okay.
Okay. And the big thing about the rec center is because it's such a big facility and we trying to isolate the stairs, because if somebody gets up there, then it becomes a liability. Right? So anyways, that was the amended or the appendix to the last report that you guys requested for clarity.
Thanks for that. I'm happy to see that it'll be open till 8. I also reached out to Lori to see what her hours were going to be like. I just think that one of the whole reasons that we wanted to have a vendor in that building was because the visitor center was going to be there, and it was like a good draw into the facility. Also think that people need to have access to the gym after 5. So happy to see that all of those things have been considered.
Councillor Paquette,
I'm
you have any thoughts?
good.
Okay. Councillor Slater?
I said all our kids work out there at 5 o'clock every day.
Yeah.
Well, most of my kid works out there. They just watch their kids.
Okay.
Also, sorry, can you just remind me again what step funding is?
STEP is summer training employment program or something.
Okay.
It's a federal program. They call it STEP program. We applied for, I don't know, I'd say we applied for numerous, some we got 5, but some are STEP, some are green fund. There's so many different. But for us to actually get STEP funding is huge. So.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I think that provides us with the feedback we were looking for after our discussion the other night. So we're just happy to address lots of the communities.
So technically it is administration that I can deal with this.
Yep. Perfect.
Awesome, thanks.
Right along. Clerk Lund, do you have the letter of support for the long-term care facility?
Yes.
Would you care to read it out for us, please?
So it's just a draft. You recommend any changes that you'd like. But we received a request for a letter of support by the Signpost Seniors for long-term care, a long-term care facility in Watson Lake. So in response to Bob Close, please accept this letter on behalf of the town of Watson Lake in support of your efforts to lobby the Yukon government for a long-term care facility in Watson Lake. Members of our community have repeatedly expressed the need for additional support for our aging population and for those who care for them. With no long-term care facility and limited home care support for seniors, elders, and those with disabilities are being forced to leave their homes and the community. This is an unfair solution to a growing problem, and we want to support the work that your organization is doing to help urge the Yukon government to put serious investment into a comprehensive plan that help keeps Yukoners at home and close to their families. It is difficult to see what steps are being taken from the recommendations made in the Aging in Place Action Plan as it relates to Watson Lake and other Yukon communities. It speaks to a continuum of housing options for elders and seniors, yet Watson Lake is still faced with housing shortages for all demographics, and without proper medical support in the home is an unrealistic goal. The existing senior 12-plex in Watson Lake falls short in meeting the needs of the current tenants, lacks dedicated medical staff, and is not equipped to be the facility that Watson Lake needs. Without the support of Yukon government, Watson Lake families will continue to be separated from loved ones, and as the cost of travel rises, many people will be unable to afford to travel to Whitehorse to visit family members. Sadly, this is already a reality for many. Please forward a meeting invite to our administrative assistant. Once a date has been set, we'll try our best to have a representative present so we can stay informed and involved as you move forward. I also want to thank your organization for the time and work you've put into this initiative. It takes dedicated community members such as yourself to see important initiatives like this move forward.
I think that sounds fantastic. We do need a motion to
Make a motion to accept that letter.
To send it.
Send it.
Thank you, Councilor Slager.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilor
Burgess.
Burgess. Any more questions or comments?
That's really.
Sounds great. Thank you for writing that. Yeah. Thanks.
That was excellent. Thank you very much, Tiffany. Very well done, and I'll just echo everything she said.
Ditto.
Just repeat, edit, copy, paste one more time for the minutes. Anyways, can we have, I'm sorry to do this to you, Tiff. I just can't read. But would you mind reading the letter of support for the Watson Lake Food Hub?
So that one is not drafted yet, but I can read what they are requesting.
Okay.
So it's from FASI, Yukon Food Security Network, along with the Whitehorse Food Bank and group of local security champions, are in the process of completing a large grant application to realize our dream of a food hub in Watson Lake. This operation would support both a food bank and soup kitchen and provide skills development around food security, such as gardening, hydroponics, healthy meal preparations, etc., and would create a number of jobs in our community. Statistics show that over 30% of people who live in Watson Lake experience food insecurity, and the current level of support does not meet those needs. We are looking for support letters to include with our application and are hoping you are able to provide this for us. Support and offers of in-kind contributions, collaborative projects, and partnerships are all appreciated. Our hard deadline for these letters is June 30th. Letters can be sent directly to Chris Pinkerton at the Yukon Food Security Network. Thanks so much for your support, and please reach out if there are any questions.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you. Is there any feedback from anybody?
Support a letter, like sending a letter of support, but I mean, the line about offers of in-kind contributions and stuff like that, I just feel like without knowing any details of the project or anything like that, I don't think I'm on side with that just yet. So, but as far as if they're just looking for a letter of support confirming the need for those types of things, you know, that in our community, then I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
Your worship, and I can just add to that is the fact that council has been supporting this program right from the start by providing them free rental space in the fire hall building.
I think we motioned that actually.
And I think we were also,
Motioned
You
that
motioned
and
that,
that's
that's right.
passed it.
we were also
And
accepting some funding
yes.
on their behalf at one point as well, I believe.
So we don't have a letter on the table, but we can draft one. There's unanimous, support for this initiative. And then if we need to, we'll bring it back to the next meeting. Yeah. Get it. Okay, but we don't need a motion for that. I don't think. All right. It's okay.
Question.
You have more
Yep.
on that?
No, I just had a question about, so Tiffany, you attend the interagency meeting. Is there anything else that you can add to that? Because they talked about that at the interagency meeting, correct?
Yeah, Chris Pinkerton gave a little presentation at the last interagency. He just kind of explained what the role is and what they're kind of planning on rolling out in Watson Lake. I think the end goal, which is a longer term goal, is to have the food or soup kitchen open again. But they're working towards that. It's going to be a working process. They're kind of focusing on low hanging fruit for right now. And just another thing that they're trying to focus on is rather than you show up and kind of get what's given to you, they want to work towards having more of a, like, you go in and you take what you actually will use and want. Like right now, it's kind of, we have chicken, we have, here's take what we have, but they realize that there's a lot of waste. There's things that people aren't using, so they want to kind of revamp that. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Anything else regarding the food hub? Okay. There was one more thing about correspondence that Cam and I also spoke with Minister Palais regarding. And he brought to our attention that he went to CIBC headquarters in Ontario recently. And we also provided him with the current status of our bank and this and what's happening and I don't know how to put it, but the disruptions in service, let's call it that. And it's been very difficult for locals to do business. And so with council support, I think we should probably draft a letter to Minister Palais regarding this issue. And, we could even tailor it to a bit of the mortgage situation
Can I ask what the desired outcome of that letter is?
I think it would be support to our branch.
How still, I don't follow.
Well, it might be, they have technological advances that they're using in other regions that he mentioned, and they have, I think it would just bring some attention to it. Minister Palais.
I guess I don't know how the government is involved in a local CIBC branch.
I guess I could answer.
Sorry.
Your worship.
Sure.
Is the fact that it's under the government's mandate, they have to provide banking, and if there's if there's not
adequate
action in the community, and the fact that if there's only 2 staff at the branch, it doesn't open. So a lot of people who rely on cash or cashing checks, or even businesses trying to get change or doing deposits, they can't get in. So it's really starting to impact the community as a whole.
Okay, so they have some way of
Addressing it.
influencing some change in that regard. Okay,
Good question.
then I suppose I support a letter.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anybody opposed to it?
No,
I support. Okay.
I just didn't realize that it was such an issue.
I mean, I knew that there was obviously some issues at the bank. I just didn't understand how the government, I didn't realize they had that obligation. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, so that was a good question. I didn't realize that either, that they were using private.
Okay, so if I could, we're on moving along.
okay,
So we'll go to the council open forum. So please, Councilor Slager, do you have anything for
I
council?
got like 5 things, but some of them.
we've been writing them down the whole time.
Let's hit it.
All right, so some of these are not really like, just take them for what they're worth, but I was thinking, because June 30th is the end of our, the Public Works and the Fire Hall. And I was thinking, what if we do the Canada Day celebration there? Because it's gonna rain anyway, and at least you have a big building to be underneath. I wasn't totally serious about that, but you never know. Because you know, Canada, it is going to rain. If you're gonna have it open,
If there's even gonna
if you're
be.
gonna get an open house anyway, two birds, one stone. Anyway. So there's a, that was just kind of the silly thing.
Fun.
Hockey games, Northern Light Center, Battle of Alberta, can we broadcast it? It's when
It's been to the side.
yeah, okay, well, consider it.
Yeah.
Okay, pool succession plan. If we ever do get a manager, we should probably adopt, like, cause it seems to me there's always like 2 high school kids, 2 university kids and managers, like, so if we like train the next kid, that's, you know what I mean, like.
Keep
Develop
moving
a
system.
develop a
I think
succession.
you just nailed it with succession planning. there. It's-
And yeah, your worship, to go to that, if it wouldn't have been for 2 years of COVID, I think we might not be in this situation.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, we had a good thing going for a while and. you
Well,
know,
people let their certifications lapse, people are no longer interested, they moved on, you know.
Yeah,
et cetera,
it happens.
tons of things, so.
I'll let you address those two. This one, so I finished shaving and a little while ago, I was like, this was yesterday, you know, on shadow.
Okay, side note. Let's carry on.
No. So anyway, so the aerosol can was done and I went to go throw it in the garbage. They're like, no, this is hazardous waste. I'm like, wait a second. So aerosol cans, whipped cream cans, all these things, you know, we're not supposed to throw them in the landfill. We're supposed to set them aside for hazardous waste day. Yet, you know, and I remember one time talking to Barb and saying, how come we don't have a spot? Like we can put batteries here, we can have e-waste here, but we can't have a whipped cream can? It just seems kind of silly.
It's, I
Question for admin, right? Let's,
Well, that's why it's.
could also
council
hang on
open
to it for a year and people just throw it in the landfill anyway, as a side note.
Yeah, they do. And so I mean, if you're really serious about it, then maybe we should have a spot to put it somewhere, right? I mean, you don't want batteries in there, then have a battery spot. You would want aerosol cans there, have an aerosol can spot. That's simple.
Okay, so I had just had something that just popped, we were talking about something earlier and I was just curious, whatever happened to the project of putting the solar panels on the water treatment facility? Water treatment plant, because that was supposed to save us some dollars if I'm not mistaken. Is that still,
I can tell you.
I haven't heard about it in a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's been a fight. So anyways, I have signed an extension on the application for an independent power producer agreement. My issue is the consultant. I met with him when he was down doing the review at the municipal services building, when there was the mechanical issues, so that would have been in January. And he said, yeah, I've got it. He says, I just got to do the review on it and I'll send it to you. So I've been chasing him.
Okay,
And my thing is, if they took the time to do the work, you think they would like to get paid for it. So anyways,
so it's not dead in the water.
It's
not
still in the
dead.
works.
It's still in the
Okay.
works, so yeah, definitely still. moving ahead.
okay, thank you. My next one was just actually after the conversation about the trucks and the cost of the trucks and stuff like that. So someone actually just mentioned to me that, have we ever thought about going electric, given the fact that we can charge them for free? Right next door.
I've looked at it, and for us to get an electric truck is next to impossible right now. It's worse than trying to get a
But
real.
is it something to think about for future?
Well, it is,
And rebates
but
as well.
the other side of that, there is rebates, but something that they haven't been really advertising it up front with is the amount that in a lifespan of a truck, how many times you gotta change the batteries at a ridiculous cost,
Yeah.
which might put us more than the O&M on a gas powered truck. So I think I would like to research it more, but we have looked into it because there was a program out from the government. And I thought
Exactly.
we were gonna put it, it was gonna be at one of our buildings. I thought ideal, right? But then I reached out and we couldn't even get them. And now the trucks are finally starting to come out with electric.
I just thought, you know,
Clean energy of, a clean energy purchase.
It is, there's lots of refunds and bonuses on it.
I just thought if, you know, if we know we're gonna be purchasing 2 new vehicles every year, we just order in ahead of time, saying like, hey, that we're looking to purchase these, whatever. Just saying that's where it seems to be where the world is going anyway, and if we're gonna be, I mean, maybe it's not gonna happen this year, not gonna happen next year, but maybe, you know, a little bit down the road, it might be something to look at, just because if it is gonna be, you know, if it's gonna be, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Incentivized, then, sorry, I don't know how to make that stop. So, and I have one last point, which was the town hall meeting, which we didn't finish talking about. So, when do we maybe want to do that, or is that something you're prepared to decide right now?
I don't know if we can decide on it right now. For topic wise, we need to do the cemetery bylaw and we will need to do the zoning bylaw as well.
And I feel like middle of summer is not ideal.
No, it's never the best time, best.
So kind of like,
Kind of jotted down the potential that maybe, you know, on the grand opening, we have a town hall just before.
and don't tell anybody, and they don't know they're actually coming to town hall meeting.
That's right.
It'll be the best attended one you've ever had.
Come on
That's a genius idea, actually.
That's right.
But I mean, honestly though, like just before or even during, you know, like the open house. So we have our open house and say, well, since you're here, we're having our town hall meeting regarding X.
That's
It's kind of sneaky, but I like.
Whatever.
Well,
because
I think
it's
that's somebody.
either has to happen like that, or it needs to be now, or it needs to be in the fall, because it's just, we're always gonna get the same 5 people. I mean, we might still only get the same 5 people. But you know what I
The
mean?
only fear
But-
of trying to do it during the opening is the fact that there's gonna be kids running around, there's gonna be,
Yeah, it's not a good thing, I don't think.
and people are gonna be dropping in, dropping out, and then people
Okay.
walk in halfway through and then,
Don't throw it out yet. Just think about it.
okay.
Throw it on the wall. Let it stick there for a minute.
Yeah, okay, anyway, so we're not prepared to decide right. this
No,
time,
but we will schedule a town hall. I'm, at this point, honestly, I think you're right about the fall. And I don't know if we need.
And I mean, it could be early, it could be like,
We don't have the zoning bylaw back yet. We're still lots of work on the cemetery bylaw to go. And like we said in our last meeting, I think the cemetery bylaw is gonna require a separate meeting entirely. So with engagement.
I've got commitment that we'll have the revised zoning bylaw for this weekend,
Okay,
but I'll believe that when it's in my hands.
okay. But so that puts us into the end of May.
unless you want to do it very.
June is like grad and into school and the weather might get nice. If we're lucky,
Now that you said it,
yeah.
you won't.
And then, yeah, and then it's summer, right?
Yeah,
So unless there's something urgent or there's something to be, we'll get back to you, okay? That first weekend, first meeting in June, if there's topics that need to be done, then we'll do that.
Oh.
With some work through the strategic plan.
Mhm.
So if we're all got that and have a good look at it and make sure that everybody has it in mind.
I do have one final point. YC. We need to appoint, so I'll be sitting on the executive now. We do need to appoint somebody as the member representative for the town of Watson Lake to take my place on the board of directors. And they'd like to know ASAP. So I actually think we should decide right now.
Sounds good.
I'd like,
Is everybody looking at Danita?
No, I just said not in
I
the
know.
house.
I felt like Bernie, just Bernie.
Bill has 6 jobs. Couple two.
are you, I mean, either one, I was,
Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, I think it's.
so I'd like to nominate Danina.
I will second.
Then you do you accept?
I will accept. So it's basically the time commitment is there's a quarterly meeting. So the next one's in September, which I believe is gonna be in CarMax. They're going back to in-person now. So you'll be required to travel to whichever community it is, and you do get compensated for that on travel and your time. The next one after that will be December and then blah, blah, blah. Yeah, unless something happens, in which case it'll go back to the Zoom format, but in which case it's just an entire day of sitting on a Zoom call.
And your worship, just for our taxpayers.
Yeah.
I can confirm that by us having 2 counselors going to AYC does not impact us because Counselor Hanchar's expenses and accommodations and travel are all covered under AYC.
Nice.
So
Thank you.
our costs will maintain the same for AYC participation.
Well, this is great news because I think Councillor Paquette will be a great representation and that'll give us 2 votes in any kind of decision anyway.
Absolutely.
And then we'll have a way bigger voice in that whole thing. So I'm very excited about that. So thank you, Councillor Paquette, for taking on that role. It is time. So Appreciate that. And I'm sure Councilor Hanshaw will give you lots of heads up on what those look like. And to have a champion there, you'll be comfortable. It'll be great. Unless you wanted to do that, Dale.
Don't have time.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Carpool.
okay, thank you, Councilor Hanshaw.
Thank you. That is all for me tonight.
Okay.
Thanks.
We're still in Councilor Open Forum.
Yeah,
Yep.
so I know we talked about
Mhm.
some landscaping that's supposed to be done, but we haven't heard anything about that for a bit. So Cam, is that coming
Yeah.
up?
The landscaping contract still must be completed by the end of June, and the contractor has confirmed back to YG that they will be starting the first week in June. I actually took photos of surroundings of the building today and sent them to them, so they had reference.
Hopefully the ground will be thawed out by that time.
Yes.
Okay, so just on this, I noticed, so we have the visitor center, we have the kitchen and the bowling alley. Now, is the kitchen, so what about the main common? Like, what about the main area? That's
Main
not
hall?
bowling. Yeah,
The main, like, the main, like.
yeah, is that included in the kitchen?
No, oh, the hall, yes, yes, that's under that.
That's under the kitchen?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, perfect. I just wanted to
There's,
clarify that.
it's hard to break out because there's goofy little roofs,
Yeah.
so that's what he's talking about.
Okay,
He knows where it's leaking, he's been up there. He was there when it was raining and stuff, so he's seen exactly where it's at.
but why is the bowling alley so much more? Does that
Bigger
encompass does that encompass the curling too then?
Yes, the curling.
Oh, okay, okay. We're just trying to figure out where all the roofs
A
are.
lot of square footage.
In the
Sure
strategic
is.
plan that Jordan sent us, the draft that he sent us today, there's a picture in there, actually an aerial view of the northern, or excuse me, of the rec center, an angle that you don't often see, so you can kind of like get a concept of, exactly.
Which roof is which?
Well,
Yeah.
You can
And where
actually
the
see, you
water
can actually
settling.
see the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and then the street lights, is that supposed to be done this year too, or
Yes.
no?
Yep, they're starting on it. I believe I said in one of the council meetings a while ago, was that the Yukon government has actually reached out and applied for federal funding to do it, so our contribution might drop to like $30,000 on that project, so. So they are proceeding. We were supposed to have a couple meetings with Adam and Aman, the guys that were down and presented to council.
Oh, yeah.
But with the snow in the ditch, they have other work to do down here, but they were waiting for full accessibility to the ditches. So they rescheduled that meeting until I think the 9th of June or something when they're coming down, but that application has been submitted to the feds for approval.
And LFN has not been a participant in this first section that we're doing?
No, but Yukon government has assured me that they will cover that share. We are still only paying a third.
Something came up, please.
I was just gonna say, any updates on the, where we're at as far as the in-ground infrastructure project, is that scheduled to start, or where are we at with that now, again?
It's still at the engineers, they're proceeding, my staff they've sent requests for information back to my staff. My staff has been responding back and forth, but they're fully working on the design for Titina.
Okay.
And then the tender process. Yeah, it might not occur till September, but it is still
Happening, okay.
All right, I think we've hit a lot of points tonight.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
A lot of things going on.
yeah, there is, it's great, it's wonderful. But we're gonna just fly through to the final part of the meeting, which is adjournment. If there's no other questions or comments. Have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A second.
And sure, Curtis? All in favor? Carried, thank you. So nice to have friendly faces in our gallery.
Hey, gallery.